section 13.3, unit circle. Again, finishing it up. We did not have tangent on our unit circle before, so we are going to add that. The definition of tangent, and then I will explain why, it's very simple why. To find the tangent, sometimes you can look at a right triangle and do opposite over adjacent, but sometimes you can't. So the definition is always the sine of the angle divided by the cosine of the angle. So that is one of your trig identities. It's always true. And now I'll explain the reason why is very simple, because the sine is opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. When you do the math there, when you divide by a fraction, it's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, so you get O times ha, and the h's cancel, and you get OA. And where do you know OA from? That is the tangent, TOA. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. That is why. See, so sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. When you divide two fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal, and there you go. So, for example, if I have on my unit circle, let's just take this 30-degree angle, and I already know, we've already talked about that the cosine is root 3 over 2 and the sine is 1/2 for the coordinates of this point. If the radius is equal to 1, okay, so I'm in my unit circle, the radius is 1, it's 30-degree angle, and if you solve for the other two sides of this triangle, you would get root 3 over 2 and 1/2. So if I want the tangent, to find the tangent of 30 degrees, I would do sine over cosine. This is the cosine, this is the sine. So I would do 1/2 divided by root 3 over 2, which is 1/2 times 2 over root 3. The 2's simplify to 1, and I'm left with 1 over root 3, but we're no longer allowed to leave it without rationalizing. So you multiply by root 3 over root 3, which gives you root 3 over the square root of 9, but that is just 3. So that's just one of them. That's for 30 degrees. If you to solve it for the tangent, you would do this process, and you would get root 3 over 3. Well, after you do this enough times, you get tired of doing it, and then you say, I'm just going to memorize it. So here are the values. So we're going to go back to your unit circle and fill these in. So here we are. I want to make sure we've got all this. So would you add what we just derived in our notes is that the tangent, we'll write it right next to it. The tangent is root 3 over 3 for a 30-degree angle. The tangent of 30 degrees will always be root 3 over 3. What will the tangent of 45 degrees be if we divide these two? Can you see it without even doing any work? What do you get when you divide these? Yeah, 1. The tangent of 45 degrees is 1. The tangent of 60 degrees is going to turn out to be the square root of 3 if you just divide. And the tangent of 90 degrees, what's 1 divided by 0? Undefined. Okay, it's also going to be down here, the tangent will also be undefined for the same reason. And what's the tangent of 180 degrees, do you think? What's 0 divided by -1? 0. So the tangent is 0. Tangent of 180 degrees is 0. And the tangent of 0 degrees is 0 over 1. 0. Good. Okay. Now the sign, S-I-G-N, for the tangent, make sure you have that everything in this quadrant is positive in the quadrant 1. tangent will also be positive, so add that. In this quadrant, everything is negative positive, so if you divide a positive over a negative, you have a negative, so add the negative symbol there. And then in quadrant 3, negative over negative is so tangent will always be positive in quadrant 3, and in this quadrant, tangent will be negative. That's right. So to figure out which sign is which, there's a little trick. It's called all students take calculus. So let's go around and put all, and then write students over here. And then I'm going to ask you if you can decode the mystery. All students take, and over here write calculus. So do you know how that helps you remember the signs? S-I-G-N. This is A, S, T, C. A is for all. S is for the sign. Do you see how the sign is the only positive one in quadrant 2? In this quadrant, tangent is the only positive. Take, tangent, and calculus or cosine. Cosine is the only positive in this quadrant. So let's also number the quadrants. This is quadrant 1. This is quadrant 2 over here. This is quadrant 3. This is quadrant 4. Very important to identify which quadrant an angle is in.